Why do you keep seeing 1111, 222, and repeating numbers? What do they really mean? Strong hook. Have you ever looked at the clock? 1111. Then later you see 222 on a receipt. The next day, 111 appears in a phone number, and suddenly you start wondering, why do I keep seeing these numbers everywhere? Is it just coincidence? Is your mind simply noticing a pattern? Or could these numbers be inviting you to slow down and pay attention to something happening within you? Today, we're going deeper into one of the most fascinating forms of synchronicity, repeating numbers, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why numbers like 111, 222, 333, and 444 can feel so meaningful, and more importantly, how to interpret them without giving your power away to a number. Welcome back to Rise and Radiate. Let's begin. Why do we notice repeating numbers? Before we explore what different numbers are commonly associated with, let's understand something important. Our brains are incredibly good at recognizing patterns. Once something becomes important to you, you may start noticing it much more often. For example, perhaps you never paid attention to 1111 before, but once someone tells you that 1111 is meaningful, suddenly you notice it on the clock. This doesn't necessarily mean something supernatural is happening. Your attention has simply become tuned to that pattern. And yet, that doesn't mean the experience has no meaning. Because sometimes the most important question isn't, did the universe send me this number? The better question is, why did this number catch my attention right now? That question brings the power back to you. 1. Seeing 111, a new beginning? One of the most commonly noticed repeating numbers is 111 point. In numerology and spiritual communities, 111 is often associated with beginnings, awareness, intention, and new possibilities. But instead of automatically believing that 111 means something specific is about to happen, use it as a moment of reflection. Ask yourself, what was I thinking about when I saw it? Was I thinking about starting something new? Was I questioning a decision? Was I afraid to take the next step? Maybe 111 can simply become your personal reminder. Pay attention to where your mind is leading you, because your thoughts influence your choices, and your choices shape your life. 2. Seeing 22, trust, balance, and patience. Now let's talk about 222 point. Many people associate 222 with balance, harmony, relationships, patience, and trust in the process. And honestly, this is a powerful message to reflect on when you're feeling impatient. Maybe you've started something and you're wondering, why isn't it happening yet? Maybe you're working toward a goal, trying to heal, trying to rebuild your confidence, and nothing seems to be changing quickly enough. Seeing 222 can become a reminder to step back and ask, am I giving this process enough time to unfold? Not everything has to happen immediately. Sometimes growth is happening beneath the surface before you can see the results. So rather than asking, when will it happen? Ask, what can I do today while I allow the process to unfold? 3. Seeing 333, expression and growth. What about 333? This number is often associated with creativity, expression, growth, and alignment. So when you notice 333 repeatedly, you might ask, where am I holding myself back? Maybe there's something you've wanted to create, something you've wanted to say, a dream you've been afraid to pursue, a version of yourself you've been afraid to become. Perhaps the number becomes a reminder. Stop hiding the person you're becoming. Your growth doesn't require everyone to understand you. Sometimes you have to give yourself permission to evolve. 4. Seeing 444, ground yourself. Then there's 444 point. In spiritual traditions and numerology, 444 is often connected with stability, protection, foundations, and grounding. Think about what that means emotionally. Maybe you're trying to manifest something huge, but your everyday life has no structure. You're dreaming about a different future, but you're neglecting the habits that would actually create it. So if you repeatedly notice 444, use it as a reminder to ask, what foundation am I building? Are your habits supporting the life you want? Are your relationships healthy? Are you taking care of your mind and body? Are you following through on the promises you make to yourself? Because your future isn't built only through wishes. It's built through foundations. 5. Seeing 555 change is happening. Now let's talk about 555 point. This number is often interpreted as a symbol of change, movement, transformation, and transition. And sometimes, change is exactly what we're resisting. You know you're ready for something different, but you're still holding on to what's familiar. You know a chapter is ending, but you're afraid to close the book. You know you need to grow, but you're attached to the version of yourself that feels safe. If you keep noticing 555, use it as a question. What am I afraid to change? Because sometimes the thing you're trying hardest to hold on to is the very thing keeping you from moving forward. 6. Seeing 777 inner reflection. Then we have 777. Many spiritual interpretations connect 777 with inner wisdom, reflection, spiritual growth, and deeper awareness. And perhaps that's exactly the reminder you need, not to look outside yourself for every answer, but to become quiet enough to hear yourself. Take a break from constant noise. Put the phone down. Sit in silence. Journal. Pray. Reflect. Ask yourself, what do I already know but keep avoiding? Sometimes intuition doesn't become stronger because the message is louder. It becomes stronger because you become quieter. 7. Seeing 888 abundance and reciprocity. Another number people often notice is 888. It's commonly associated with abundance, success, prosperity, balance, and cycles of giving and receiving. But abundance isn't only about money. Abundance can mean peace, love, opportunity, creativity, confidence, health, connection. So when you see 888, instead of immediately thinking, money is coming, ask yourself, where am I allowing abundance into my life? And where am I blocking it? Because sometimes we're asking for more, while constantly telling ourselves that we're not enough. We're asking for opportunities, but we're afraid to be seen. We're asking for love, while refusing to open our hearts. Abundance often begins with the ability to receive. 8. Seeing 999. Completion and letting go. And finally, let's talk about 999, This number is often associated with completion, endings, release, and moving into a new chapter. Sometimes the hardest part of growth isn't beginning. It's letting go. Letting go of an identity, a relationship, a belief, a habit, a version of yourself that once protected you, but no longer fits the person you're becoming. So if 999 keeps appearing, ask, what chapter am I ready to close? Not because your past was meaningless, but because you don't have to live there forever. But here's the most important part. I want you to remember something. You don't have to believe that every repeating number is a message from the universe, and you don't need to make an important life decision simply because you saw 1111, 222, or 444 point. A number should never replace your judgment. It shouldn't replace wisdom. It shouldn't replace real-world evidence. And it shouldn't become something you depend on for every decision. Instead, let these moments become check-in points. A beautiful reminder to pause, to breathe, to notice your thoughts, to reconnect with yourself. Because perhaps the most powerful message isn't hidden inside the number. Perhaps the number simply helped you notice yourself. Why do they sometimes appear when you need them most? Think about it. When you're going through a major transition, you're emotionally alert. You're thinking more deeply. You're looking for meaning. You're questioning your direction. During these periods, patterns can stand out more strongly. And that's why a repeating number can suddenly feel incredibly powerful. The moment becomes meaningful because of what you're experiencing when you see it. So instead of asking, what does 222 mean? Try asking, What does 222 mean to me in this moment? That's a much more powerful question. Create your own personal number journal. Here's something you can try. The next time you notice a repeating number, don't immediately search for its meaning online. Instead, write down 3 things. What number did I see? What was I thinking about at that exact moment? What was I feeling? And come back to your notes after a few weeks. You may start noticing patterns. Maybe you always see 111 when you're thinking about a new opportunity. Maybe 222 appears when you're feeling impatient. Maybe 444 catches your attention when you feel overwhelmed and need grounding. This way, instead of letting someone else tell you what the number means, you learn what your own experiences are teaching you. The real message behind repeating numbers. Maybe the universe is speaking. Maybe your subconscious is noticing patterns. Maybe your attention has simply become more sensitive to something that matters to you. We don't have to know the absolute answer to appreciate the experience, because the real magic isn't in becoming obsessed with signs. It's in becoming more aware. Aware of your thoughts, aware of your emotions, aware of your choices, aware of what you're moving toward, and what you're finally ready to release. So the next time you see 1111, don't immediately make a wish. Pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what is happening inside me right now? Because that answer may be more valuable than any number. Your life isn't controlled by repeating numbers. You are not powerless. You don't need a sign before you are allowed to move forward. The numbers can be reminders, but you make the choices. You set the intention. You take the action. You create the habits. You choose the path. And perhaps that's the most beautiful synchronicity of all. That every time you become more conscious, you become more capable of creating the life you're here to live. If this video resonated with you, tell me in the comments, which repeating number do you see most often, and what was happening in your life when you first started noticing it? I genuinely love to hear your experience. And if you're enjoying this journey of synchronicities, intuition, and inner guidance, make sure you subscribe to Rise and Radiate and become part of this growing community, because we're not finished yet. You've learned to notice the signs. You've learned how to reflect on them. But there's another question. How do you know when it's actually your intuition speaking and when it's simply fear, overthinking, or wishful thinking? That's where we're going next. In my next video, we'll explore how to strengthen your intuition so you can trust your inner guidance. Until then, pause, listen, reflect, trust yourself, keep rising with purpose and radiating with love.